All right, everyone, I'm on That Park Place, and they got this article here, and it says formal Xbox VP admits Game Pass causes problems as media admits 3 million players is not 3 million sales.
No way. Yes way.
Yes, we've been saying this for a while, guys. When they say 3 million players are playing the game, 3 million players are engaged in the game. They're engaged. They're just watching in the background. They're looking at the game or is wishlisted. Doesn't mean there's sales for it when it comes out. Where is the 3 million sales then? Show us how much they made. They did this with Assassin's Creed Shadows, Dragon Age the Veilguard. They did this constantly just to feel like there is actually interest in these games when there wasn't actually. So now it's with Xbox Game Pass now. So that is interesting because I've been saying that Xbox Game Pass is great for the customer and the gamer for sure. It's great. $20 a month pretty much. You pay for it. You know, you get all this massive category of games, even new releases. But it feels like it's not financially reliable now because devs are not getting that money back deal as, they thought it would be. For years, gamers have debated whether subscription models like Xbox Game Pass are helping the industry or causing problems. Now, a formal Xbox executive has admitted what critics have been saying all along. Game Pass is creating serious problems, both financially and creatively, across the gaming world. In a new piece from PC Gamer, former Bethesda VP of Communications and Marketing, Pete Hines, revealed that Game Pass creates what he called weird inner tensions, particularly when it comes to how the service values content and impacts game sales. If you don't figure out how to balance the needs of the service and the people running the service with the people who are providing the content without which your subscription is, it's worth jack shit. Then you have a real problem, he said. So what it is it's a subscription service that you subscribe every month, obviously, like I said, around $20-ish. What is going on is now that's all they're pretty much getting. It's all just influencing eyes to pick up Game Pass and try it out. In real life, those devs don't get really much besides, I guess, Xbox or whatever company, if you're getting the EA Pass one, or if you're getting the Ubisoft Connect, or if you're getting an Epic or Steam, they get a little kickback from it too. But in this one, you don't really get any kickback because it's just tied to the Game Pass. So you're getting eyes on it, which could be good if you're an indie developer and you can get a lot of people to try out your game and see if they like it or not. But in this situation, if you're like a big budget AAA game and you release your game on day one, everyone's just going to go to Game Pass and your revenue for it will be lost. You won't be getting it. If your game's that good, people will buy it. They'll go on Steam, whatever you want to buy the game itself, and they will support it because they understand devs need it. So they'll support it. They'll buy it. Like, for example, it didn't matter if Expedition 33 Clear Obscure was on Game Pass on day one. People still bought it on Steam, and it did crazy numbers because they wanted to support the devs that were making it. Since it's like a indie, almost AA game, mostly indie, but it's also close to a AA game. They want to support the devs themselves because it wasn't a high-priced game. It was like around 40-ish, and it wasn't too bad, and you got a great experience out of it. People are saying, Xbox Game Pass is doing well. Look how much people are downloading. Look how much people are trying this out. It doesn't matter how much people are still going to play any kind of game they have on Game Pass. If you want to support devs and you want to support people that make these games, you're going to actually have to physically or digitally go to a storefront and buy the game. That's the only way. I would say subscription service back in the day when I used Game Pass, when it was only like $1 or $5 a month, I would play games like Sea of Thieves. I would try it out, demo it out, play for a little bit, and then when I saw a sale on Steam, I bought the game. Now, I don't use Game Pass. I never use Game Pass. Game Pass is only good for a couple of things, like I always use it for. I use it mostly for demoing games out, if I like it or not, or if my game runs well on my PC, I would like to download it, see if I can run it, just to test it out, test out the waters. I stop the game, and then I buy the game if I like it, or I just wait for a sale. That's how I do Game Pass. I don't keep paying upfront constantly Game Pass. I don't have that mindset. It's like this is what normal people do. Normal people, even gamers do this. They pay up front 1 month just to check out what games they have, just to play a couple of games, and then they unsubscribe. That's just the basic reality of how people think. People don't like subscription services. I know personally, I'm one of those too. I know it's hard, but people don't like those. I don't like them myself either. People just want to see or play the thing that they want to see because they have it right there at that disposal at the very moment. But if it's so good, people will go out, buy it, or find it digitally and try to download it and then play it or watch it, whatever you're doing. It's not a financially great thing over the long run. I feel like a lot of big content creators, if you get them out there and you tell them to play your game and they enjoy that game and it blows up, that's what happens. That's what happened with like a lot of games that just blew up, like Repo, Peak, games like that, Lethal Company, Phasmophobia, whatever. Like these games blew up because of notified by big content creators out there that, interested that game. So they got publicized more and more people want to try it out because of that. Haynes explained that while subscription platforms like Game Pass can drive engagement, they can also cause problems and backfire badly when the numbers don't translate into actual revenue. The most striking admission came when the article highlighted Tango Gameworks' Hi-Fi Rush, marketed as breakout success with 3 million players on Game Pass. The studio behind it was nevertheless shuttered by Microsoft.
Man, that sucks!
PC Gamer has pointed out the obvious truth that many in the gaming community have stressed for years, a truth that mainstream access game journalists have ignored until now. 3 million players isn't the same as 3 million sales. It's a crucial distinction, and one that publishers often blur when hyping up numbers. Player counts on Game Pass make for good headlines, but if retail sales are cannibalized, the studio may actually be worse off than before. Is it possible that games journalists are finally starting to see what gamers have been screaming for years? Or have they known all along and just failed to point it out? It's called bad journalism, and we see this a lot in game legacy medias. They don't ask actually the hard-hitting questions. They're not actually telling what they need to know. Let's be transparent here about things, what is actually going on. Because I know back in the day, some journalists were brutal and they would ask the hard-hitting questions to a lot of these devs, a lot of these CEOs. And now it's very lukewarm, I would say. And they're trying to get into the industry, try to be friendly with them because they get the codes. They have to shill for one thing or another a little bit here and there to get their, early access code, get invited to all these early events, all sorts of things. Because if they did actually say what people were thinking, they wouldn't be invited to all these things. They wouldn't get all these codes, kind of deal. Backing up Haynes, concerns Shannon Loft, former VP at Xbox Game Studio, added her own blunt assessment. Writing on LinkedIn, Loft said, while GP can claim a few victories, the majority of games adaptation on GP comes at the expense of retail revenue. unless the game is engaged from the ground up for post-release monetization. I could write pages on the weird inner tensions this creates. In other words, unless a game is packed with DLC, microtransactions, or long-term monetization hooks, being put on Game Pass risks draining its profitability. So it has to have all the things that gamers don't really like. Hines and Lofts aren't alone in their warnings. Other industry veterans have been voicing similar criticism. Former PlayStation executive Sean Layden compared Game Pass like models to the way music streaming gutted value for creators, saying it risks turning developers into wage slaves. Meanwhile, Arcane Studio co-founder Rafael Colanlanto described subscription platforms as unsustainable model that was been increasingly damaging the industry for a decade. Microsoft maintains that Game Pass is profitable overall, but profitable for Microsoft isn't the same thing as sustainable for developers. So it's good for Microsoft, but Microsoft needs to have developers that make good games, that you have creative minds to make these games. If you're not paying your devs, you're not going to get games. That's just how it is. Microsoft can't be pumping out games themselves all the time. We've seen how they've been doing, closing studios left and right, not making some good games here and there. In fact, Microsoft CFO Tim Stewart has admitted that major titles like Starfield and Indiana Jones and The Great Circle lost millions retail sales by being available day one at Game Pass. What did I say? All these people are always talking about in my comments that Starfield and Indiana Jones did great numbers because it's on Game Pass. People bought it. And then you looked at the Steam charts, it wasn't doing too good because people were finishing the game on that and they weren't actually buying the game and trying to actually support this game. So all the people said, oh, why are you hating on Indiana Jones? First of all, I didn't like Indiana Jones because I hated that it was first person. I think it would have been better if it was a third person experience, kind of like a Tomb Raider or Uncharted. That's just my opinion. Starfield was actually absolutely boring. Starfield had nothing to it. It was an overhyped game by Bethesda. It was a bare bones sci-fi experience. That was it. It was boring, like Az would say. Heels versus babyface.
Boring!
So it lost millions retail sales of being available day one in Game Pass. That's the paradox. Game Pass helps Microsoft grow subscriptions and engagement, but the very success of the service should be undermining the developers who make the game possible. For years, players have pointed out the flaw in bragging about millions of players on Game Pass. It's not the same as millions of sales. Now, former insiders like Pete Haynes and Shannon Lofts are saying the quiet part out loud. Game Pass may be great for consumers in the short term, but if the model continues to eat it into retail sales, it risks causing problems that will hollow out the very industry it claims to support. Developers can't survive on exposure alone, and the recent closures of studios prove that popularity on Game Pass doesn't necessarily equal financial security. I've been saying this, and people are saying, no, that's not what they probably get a good paycheck when they're on Game Pass, all this and that. Seems like it's not the case. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon, guys.